talk about the basics of floating today. What is floating and what is its purpose? Well, floating is a way to add layers and values of paints onto your painting to create depth and highlight. You can take a 1D painting, like these two up here, and turn it into a 2D painting, like these two down here, just by floating values of color in the appropriate places. But before we learn to take something from 1D to 2D, we need to first learn how to prepare our brush and load our brush and paint with our brush for floating and what brush works best for this technique. Now, you can use any brush that you like. The best brushes to use are an angle brush, a flat brush, or a chisel blender. Any of these brushes will work well for floating. I like to use the chisel brush because it is a little bit shorter than the standard flat brush, and I feel like it gives me a little bit more control. But this is where you need to practice and decide which brush is going to work best for you. First, we need to prepare our brush. So to prepare your brush, you're going to take your dry, unused brush and load it completely full of water. You want to fill those bristles, make them plump and happy. This is what we need to do first. You can't just swish it in there or quick dunk into your water. That's not going to open up all those bristles and make them accept paint. Okay? We have to wake up every single bristle throughout the entire brush. So filling it completely with water is the only way to do that. Once you have it filled with water, you're going to take it to your paper towel, and I want you to watch. See how shiny my bristles are? Now they're not. So the paper towel wicked out all the excess moisture. I'm going to lay it on this side to make sure it's all the excess moisture is wicked out. I'm going to dry my ferrule off. We don't want any moisture on our ferrule. And now your brush is plump. It is ready to paint for you. You want moisture in it, but you do not want it dripping with water. Next, you're going to take a spritzing bottle with clean water, and you're going to spritz the side of your palette with all these water drops. When you are floating, you need clean water to float with. You never want to go into your dirty water basin and get water, and when you go over there you can get way too much water. So having water spritzed on your palette makes it easy to go grab just a drop if your brush starts feeling a little bit dry, to get your brush back reconditioned, because the more we use it and the more we load it with paint and brush with it, the more moisture is taken out of it. So it does need to be reconditioned with a drop of water so that you can continue to paint smoothly with it. Now let's see how we load our brush. To load your brush, you're going to dip one corner into some paint. So I have paint on one corner only of my brush. And now we're going to work that paint into our brush back and forth like this. It's going to work it up into the bristles so that we have enough paint to do our job. I can already feel it needs a little more moisture. So I'm going to grab some moisture. We want the paint and the water to come together and make a very soft gradation of color. So the paint is going to take all the moisture off of this side of the brush. And this side, the opposite side, is just water. So when your brush starts feeling dry, a lot of times you just need a drop of water on the water edge of your brush. So we've got it loaded about 1/3 of the way across the bristles. If you get it loaded halfway or more across your bristles, you're just base coating. So wash your brush out, wick out the excess moisture, and reload your brush. Okay, you've got it loaded, you're ready to paint. So how do we paint a float? Well, to paint a float, you're going to come over to your project and you're going to lay your brush flat and just give it some little pulls. You don't have to do one big long stroke, just little pitty-pat pulls along the area that you're going to be floating. Okay, and that's how you float your color. You can continue to pick up paint from the area where you loaded your brush as long as the paint has not dried on your palette. if the paint dries on your palette, you of course need to start loading your brush in a new area. So now that I've shown you all the basic technique for floating, how to properly condition your brush, how to properly load your brush, and how to lay the paint down, it's time for you to grab your paints and get to practicing.